Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, my guest is Aly Angel. She's a nurse practitioner in the U.S. military. She's dedicated to compassionate, evidence-based care. With global experience, she brings strong cultural competence to her work. Aly serves in national nursing leadership roles and empowers clients through holistic, patient-centered care, health education, and coaching focused on lasting wellness and whole person healing. Aly, welcome to my show today.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So the reason Aly is here today, or one of the reasons, is she is both a speaker and a sponsor of my upcoming summit, Finding Your Voice After Trauma. It's May 14th. I have to look at my calendar. Yeah, May 14th and 15th. And Aly, I am so thrilled to have you. Tell me in the audience why you chose to step up and speak and be a sponsor for this event.
Yes, I chose to speak up and be a sponsor because I attended one of your summits and I really loved all the speakers and I loved what they had to say and I loved the meaning behind it. And I think it's very important to be able to be in a safe space and talk about trauma and be able to heal from that. And also, there are others around you. So it was a community and it felt loving and safe and welcoming. And so that's something when I work with clients, is something that they say is important to them. They want to feel safe, they want to feel seen, they want to feel heard, and they want to feel supported. And your summit did that for me, and it did it for so many other people.
Thank you so much for that. Now, you know that the summit participants, for the most part, and also people listening to my podcast for the most part, are complex trauma survivors, and which just basically means lots of trauma across the lifespan. It can be little traumas, big traumas, but the nervous system is jacked up and not regulated. Even though they may be in a safe place now, they don't often feel very safe. Is there a story about your personal life that you're comfortable in to share about how you've experienced trauma and how it impacted you?
Yes. So I can share, which is something I've shared very often, about being engaged and the trauma from that relationship ending. So back in 2022, I believe, I was engaged to get married. And throughout, there were just little things within the relationship that now I can see were red flags. But then when I would talk to other individuals, it was more just pray about it, things will get better. So quite often that's what I would do. And I would just find myself feeling silenced, and I would find myself feeling like I had to shrink in order to keep the peace. And this is something that was not difficult for me because my experience in healthcare, you're there to make others happy, not necessarily happy, but within healthcare, you are the one taking care of patients. And so I kind of learned to just go along with things and make sure, please people. I spent my career in the hospital and at the bedside. So I guess blended that with my personal life with just being a peacemaker and keeping the peace. So when I was called names or put down, I would go into another room and cry, no different than what I would do in the hospital. Go into a different room or go into the bathroom, cry, fix my face, as we would call it as nurses, and go back and finish my shift. So within the relationship, when my ex-fiance would make comments or call me names or things like that, I would just say nothing and just later on cry about it. And so after that relationship ended, it was really the death of my friend who was murdered. That's what helped me find my voice and say, I'm not going to stay silent when I'm treated in an unhealthy way. When I am in an abusive relationship, I'm not going to stay silent. I'm going to talk back. I'm going to speak up for myself. And that's what I started doing. And as I started speaking up for myself, I was surprised and even traumatized again with the individuals who would tell me to just lay low or keep my head down or stay small, which also happened within my career in the military. So I'm learning with my career in the military, just lay low, stay small, go unnoticed, and you'll be able to get through the bullying and the harassment. And so that's what I did throughout my career. And then in my relationships, I would do the same thing, just make sure my significant other was happy at the expense of my pain.
Yes. So you're describing trauma, being a service member, being a woman. Can I also say being a Black woman? Would that be,
Yeah.
does that fit? Yeah.
Yes.
Some Black women tell me no, but then I feel like they're in denial, right?
Yeah.
It's
They're
like,
in denial. Yes.
they're in denial. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot of oppression that can happen. A lot of times oppression is not even just in our communities, but the institutions that we work in, that we serve in, like our school
Yes.
systems, our
Yes.
churches.
Yes.
It's pretty frequent that the opportunity to feel hurt is wide. And I know the murder of your friend was this very huge event experience for you. And I know your website is like you mentioned to me before, it's a dedication to her. What do you feel comfortable to share about her today?
Sure, I can share a little bit. So we met in the military, we served together, went our different ways because that's what happens. You get stationed different places, but we always kept in touch. We went to school together, the same school for nurse practitioner. We went together. So we had been on this journey together. We talked about doing retreats together. We talked about practicing together as nurse practitioners. And we talked about helping other women who had experienced domestic violence or an intimate partner violence. So we had always talked about these things. And so we had talked about them. We had all these plans to do them. COVID put some of those plans on hold because we couldn't do a retreat. But we were just thinking, oh, when COVID changes and we're allowed to meet again, we were just going to do a retreat with 7 to 10 women. And the goal was they were all had some type of military experience, either currently serving or they were veterans. So that was one of our passions to reach women in the service because we don't always have a safe space to share, to talk, to encourage each other, because quite often as women, we're told to compete with each other and not align and support each other. And so when she
Yes.
passed, when she was murdered, I was working and someone called me we had also served with and said, pull your car over, I need to talk to you. And so I just pulled into a random parking lot. And then she had told me, and I was we were both in tears together. And what we did, each of us knew a little bit about, I guess, the abuse, but everyone knew something different. And when you bring it all together, we had no idea what she was having to carry. And I look back on all our pictures, she was always smiling. And I look back on all my pictures with my ex, And I was always smiling because we were raised in the church, both of us. We were very similar, raised in the church, served in the military, and we were just told to put on lipstick and smile. That was
Yeah,
literally what we were told.
I know. I know. So, people listening, if you're a domestic violence survivor, this is like a heads up. This is pretty triggering conversation. So, do what you need to do. If you need to step away, take a couple deep breaths. Maybe you need to pause, but please do what you need to do to take care of yourself because the story is actually doesn't stop with your friend was in a domestic violence situation, your friend was murdered, but what was even worse than that?
Um, what was
Was it
worse than that was, I think what was worse was the way it happened was it was very difficult for me to even understand, even being in healthcare, understanding there's a lot of violence against women. It was very difficult. I would just wake up in the middle of the night and I would see her face. And because we're in different nursing organizations together, when I would go to certain websites, her name would pop up because we were in that same organization together. So even after her death, it was still a lot of trauma for me because I didn't get the chance to grieve. And the one thing that was difficult, the weekend of her funeral, I was told I had to work versus getting to go to the funeral. So I didn't really
okay?
get to.
I wasn't trying to trigger up that kind of stuff. I was, because I don't know the whole story, right? But the pieces I know, she had a son that was also
Yes, she had a
part of
son.
this.
Yes,
So that's what made it, what I know about it, what made it worse for me is knowing that this precious child was also taken.
yes, yeah,
Yes, yes. I'm so sorry. Di-
yeah.
I work with service members a long time, and there's countless stories of them not being able to attend funerals or leave being yanked, and it's just cruel. It's cruel. So, so you didn't get that closure. How are you? Is your work in the world? Is that how you're trying to get closure?
Yeah, so what I did at one of our nursing organizations, I presented an abstract to speak on intimate partner violence. And so I did that last October. And so I will continue to speak at different conferences about domestic partner violence and what's a healthy relationship and what's not. So that's how I got my closure by doing what we said we were going to do together. And now I'm just
Yes,
continuing to speak out. Yes.
yes. And I believe is there a name for when children are murdered, a term? Is that, is it infanticide or is that just for babies being killed by their parents? I'm asking you as your healthcare professional.
That one I don't know.
Don't know. Okay. Yeah, because we hear the intimate couple violence is a big topic. I have two clients whose sisters were murdered by their partners, but I don't have anybody that I'm working with who knows two people murdered at the same time, like their friend or their sister and their the child, right? So this thing that happened to your friend is truly just this massive tragedy, in my opinion, right? Is there anything special did you know her son up at all? Is there anything special about him you want to share? Because he looked like
I
a neat little dude.
I can say he loved his mother. He loved his mother.
It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and I love what you're doing in her memory. That she's in heaven right now, and she's just so proud and pleased as punch on the impact that you want to make and you're starting to make. And for those who don't know, this is Aly's first time being on a podcast, so I know she's going to be on many more. I'm going to encourage her to write a book. I don't know. Do you have a plans to write a book?
No.
You're not going to like me at the end of all this. She's going to write a book. She's going to do this.
I'll do the retreats with you.
Yes, we definitely want you to do that. Yeah, so lots of beautiful things ahead. Aly, what's next for you? What's your
Um,
plans after you leave the military?
so I am opening up my own private practice. And so I will offer primary care services, mental health services, grief recovery method services, and coaching services. And it will be done
As
virtually. Yes.
Oh, I'm just applauding. You showed me your website and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
tell us the states. So if you're coaching, you can do that globally, but I know
Yeah.
as a nurse practitioner, it can only be in the states you're licensed in. So which states will those be?
I'm licensed in multiple states. However, for in-person and those with insurance, it would be currently the state of Illinois, because that's where I am right now. And then for the coaching, that can be anywhere. And grief recovery, I can do that anywhere as well.
That's
It's not
great.
tied to a state, but primary care services are tied to Illinois at this moment.
Yeah, this I have the same thing as a licensed therapist. I can practice in Virginia. That's where I'm licensed. But as a coach, I can work with anybody in any state and in the world. So we are smart cookies to make ourselves available to people who need us. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you plan to add courses and workshops as you transition into private practice?
I would like to offer some retreats, weekend retreats. I could probably do some courses once I learn how to do all that. I have
Mhm.
plenty of things to talk about, of course, but I have to learn that part, although I'm trained in nursing and curriculum design and
Ooh.
teaching. However, other courses, I would have to learn a lot of that. If it's non-nursing, I don't know the curriculum design part.
I'm gonna say it's transferable skills, right? If you know the structure and the format, and yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. Sometimes if you're used to teaching, like before I became an entrepreneur, when I worked for the military, I did a lot of training for the military, the ER and different doctors, and why I trained on suicide and everything about mental health you can think of and trauma. So the transitioning part was getting good at it virtually because it's different. Yeah, the virtual piece. But you're gonna be fine. I think you froze on me. I'm gonna just go ahead and close out because Aly is frozen on her screen. So I want to thank her for being such a valuable guest on my podcast today. Aly, you are a world-changing agent for hope and inspiration. So thank you so much for being here today. Oh, she's coming back in.
I have no idea what happened.
It's okay, but did you hear my ending at all or no?
A little bit of it, and then it cut off.
Okay. For those listening, I'm gonna ask Aly if she has some words to share. So I'm sorry about the editing of this. Might be a little tricky, not very smooth, but we don't have a big budget for editing. But Aly, I was just telling the audience that I feel like you are on your way to doing some life-changing work for many. And I know you have one-to-one services with the work you've done so far, but as you do workshops and retreats and hopefully write a book and do courses, you're going to have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
So, in summary, any last words that you want to say? Is there anything on your heart or your mind for survivors listening that need more hope? What would you like to say?
Yes. So I just like to say that we heal in community, and in community, when you're in a safe and trusted community, you have people who will walk alongside of you. And I want to be that beacon of hope for
Mhm.
others. I was once overwhelmed by loss and pain, and now I live a life of joy and purpose, and I want to help others do the same.
Okay, that's so beautiful. I'm glad you came back on because that was a better wrap than I was doing. So thank you for your time on my podcast today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.